the two-party system in America and why I feel it should be changed. The past presidential election was unlike one we have ever seen before. Two polar opposites battling it out for the chance to run our country. People all over the U.S. voiced a common opinion more loudly than ever before. They did not like either candidate. Trump and Clinton were actually named the most disliked candidates in modern times in a poll ran by the Huffington Post. However, people in this nation felt forced to vote for the candidate they hated the least because they felt if they did not, they'd be throwing away their vote or voting for the other party. There are many legitimate reasons why we feel this way, and in a way it's true. We do not get many choices. The choices that we get outside of the two main parties are not plausible, and we only get one vote to portray our voice. This is why I believe the two-party system in America needs to be changed. My first argument is our obvious one: choices. Everything we do in life is filled with choices, from choosing an entree at a local restaurant, buying a particular brand of cereal, or which department store you shop at. When it comes to choosing the president, however, you're given two choices: Republican and Democrat. Yes, there are other people, but due to the system that we currently have in place, they are kept out of the presidential debates. And let's be honest, without the help of a television platform, what is the chance of a candidate not running the debates ever have actually getting a chance at presidency? The Commission on Presidential Debates, or CBD, was formed in 1987 by the Democrat and Republican Party. They make the rules for who is and isn't allowed at the debates, and over the years have been very successful at keeping third-party candidates out. The funny thing is that several of the important issues that have been brought up throughout history, such as the abolition of slavery, creation of public schools, and Social Security, were all issues that were brought to light due to third-party candidates. Yet our system continues to find ways of not allowing them into these debates. If it weren't for third parties, many of these issues would have been avoided in the debates by Republicans and Democrats, which means there is a chance that these would not have been resolved early in history as they actually were. In 1980, John Anderson, the Independent Party nominee, actually polled as high as 26% in certain polls. While Jimmy Carter and the CBD refused to allow him into the debates, the League of Women Voters did allow them in. This actually resulted in Jimmy Carter dropping out of the debate that he was allowed into. In 1992, Ross Perot was the first and only third-party candidate allowed into the debates. Both Bush and Clinton felt allowing him in would actually help their cause. This is a mistake that Bush only made once. Perot ended the election with 19% of the votes, the highest third-party candidate finish since 1912. The following presidential election, he was banned from attending. In 2000, a new rule was put into place requiring third party to debate, but only if they registered at least 15% of the votes in the polls. The problem with this is third-party candidates do not show up in many polls, making this very unfair. Shouldn't I be able to hear every candidate and what they have to say before voting? Some may argue that I can, but let's be honest, we do not get the same type of background or knowledge on a third-party candidate as we do on one that is a member of a Democrat or Republican party. Ralph Nader was the new party candidate in 2000. In his book, Crashing the Party, he tells of the debate against Gore and Bush. Nader describes how he was physically barred from attending the debates, and he was threatened with arrest if he attempted to attend. How are we as Americans supposed to cast an educated vote in the future of our country when we're not even allowed to see all of our options? Another large fallacy in the election is that the way we get to vote. We get one vote and one vote only. We can't go in the booth and say, this is our first choice, this is our second choice, and I don't want this one at all. It's an all or nothing scenario. Which is why people usually tend to vote as if they're voting against the person they don't want, instead of actually voting for the person they do want. One example of this is the 2012 Senate race in Missouri. Todd Akin won with 36% of the vote. The second candidate had 30%, and the third candidate had 29.2%. With a race this close and no one having the majority of the vote, you have to wonder if the other 60% of voters, the ones who didn't vote for Aiken, would have preferred choice number 2 or 3 if given the opportunity. Now, we will never know in this scenario, but it leaves rooms for questions. There are many people in the US that prefer a candidate running in the Green, Libertarian, or Independent Party. However, they're afraid to waste their vote in the election. Due to the way elections are set up, a vote for your third party candidate of choice may end up being a vote against the candidate that was your second choice. This is unfair to the American people. I feel we should change voting laws in a way to allow Americans to feel that their vote does count and to better express what they really want. Another reason people feel their vote does not count is the way the Electoral College is set up. Going back to the last presidential election, Trump received 63 million votes. Now, 63 million is a lot, but it is actually only 27% of eligible voters in this country. During a presidential election, only about half of eligible voters go to the polls. Even less show up for midterms. Why is this? It's because many people live in a state where they feel that their voice does not count. If you live in a state that is largely populated by people opposing your political party, then the chances of your vote going towards your political party of choice rarely happens. I feel the Electoral College served its purpose when America was less populated and more rural, but it no longer serves the purpose it was created for. It wasn't even foolproof when it was created. This is why we have had elections where a candidate receives the majority of the vote, but still loses this election. This has actually happened 4 times in American history. That means we have had 4 American presidents who received the majority of the vote, but were not president. I know this is a touchy subject, and our political system is not one that can be changed overnight. However, I feel this is a conversation that needs to be started. We as Americans deserve for our voice to be heard, and we deserve to be represented by a candidate that represents that voice. I feel that the system in place now does not allow for that. We can make our system better, and by doing so, be better represented by our country. The end.